Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Eli and Danny Talk Movies. My name is Eli.
I'm Danny.
And today we're going to be talking about the Odyssey, which released July 17th, 2026, written and directed by Christopher Nolan, technically adapted from the original epic poem by Homer, starring Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Zendaya, and a whole other cast of actors.
A whole lot of people.
Yes, a whole lot of people. Now, I already asked you, but I'm going to ask you again. If you had to just answer the question, how did you feel about the movie? What would you say?
Overall, I would say it's a really good movie, and you should definitely watch it.
I feel like if someone asked me, I would have a couple responses. One is just a person who likes movies. I'd say, like, yeah, go see it in theaters. Like, see it while it's in theaters. Support the movie. Give it a chance. Alternatively, if students were asking me, hey, Mr. Minyard, how'd you feel about the movie since you taught the Odyssey? Like, you teach it every year. I would say thematically, it hits similar points to how I teach the story. It's not the most accurate, and I wouldn't show it to the class as like, okay, let's watch the adaptation while we read the story, because it's not a one-to-one recreation. But I do enjoy it, and to students asking me that, I would definitely recommend them watching this movie. Now, the movie is rated R, but there's not anything particularly rated R about it.
Nah, just really the violence.
Yeah, and even then, the violence feels relatively subdued. So, yeah, I think I could confidently recommend
a little
this.
bit of language, too.
Yeah, I think I could recommend this to students to see, obviously with parental permission. All right. Now, we don't have an official structure of how we're going to talk about this. You have some notes. I don't. Do we just want to talk about some things that we liked first? Some things that stood out more than others?
Sure. Yeah, let's start there. You want to start?
Let's see. Of course, I think this is just a by default now because of his team, his specific editor that he uses, the editing. I am a big fan of one of Christopher Nolan's strategies. Now, I don't think this is an official term, but it's something that you and I use, silent cutaways.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it uses...
You should describe what that is.
Yeah. Now,
So what is a silent cutaway for those who don't know?
A silent cutaway, as we would describe it, is when there is a scene occurring, like the main scene, and then it cuts to, as people might know it, as B-roll. But typically, a silent cutaway is cutting away to a different shot, a different scene, without audibly bringing attention to it. So it's just a quick cut to emphasize a specific moment or a memory. And this is prominent in all of the Christopher Nolan movies that I've seen. One of the first times I've ever seen it is probably in Batman Begins. And maybe I'll show a quick thing so that people can actually see it. But for example, when Batman is lying on the roof and he's panicking after getting the fear toxin, it shows silent cutaways of his childhood and when his parents were murdered.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, his prior movie, Oppenheimer, uses a myriad of silent cutaways. And ever since we started talking about silent cutaways, I always notice when movies and shows do it now. One of the reasons why I started just like loving The Bear was because in one of the episodes they did a silent cutaway. And I was like, what are they doing? Who do they think they are? And this movie, Danny argues, has the most of the silent cutaways.
Yeah, it's definitely a technique that Christopher Nolan likes to use, and I think it's used to its full effect in this movie. Yeah.
Spoiler warning, by the way.
Yes, this is
a spoilers review.
Some spoilers. Okay, so like, what else? Like, anything else about the editing?
In terms of not specific editing techniques, like little moments, but the structure of the movie, I really like the non-linear structure here. Considering the original poem is written with a framing device set around it, they do the exact same thing, but in a different setting. Mm-hmm. Whereas in the original poem, he's talking on a ship to I forgot what the specific group of people were. In this, he's talking to Calypso as she's trying to help him remember. Mm-hmm. And so we have a few perspectives to follow. We have Odysseus talking to Calypso. We have the actual just journey that Odysseus is going on and the stuff that's going on there. We have the sacking of Troy, which is mostly followed from Tom Holland or Telemachus learning the truth from Menelaus, aka
Mhm.
John Bernthal. So I like the structure, the framing device they use, and I like specific editing techniques that is just a Christopher Nolan staple and a Jennifer Lame staple at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like the non-linear. The movie's pretty non-linear. Especially in the first act, it's jumping all over the place, and I like it. Sometimes, especially in the first act of Christopher Nolan's movies, I feel like sometimes because it jumps back and forth between so many like different times and places and stuff. I was trying to find the right word for it. Like sometimes the pacing can feel, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way. Sometimes the pacing can feel kind of messy, a little thrown together, and yeah, like those are the kind of the two ways I describe it. But I like that because I like that kind of flawed, in like imperfect, like how do I describe it? I like the
Awkward.
No, I don't know how to describe it.
We were struggling with talking about it earlier because we were comparing his style of filmmaking to a couple other directors.
Like, I think I like how
It is hard to
I
describe.
don't know how to describe it, but I can't think of the word for it. I like how
How about you, besides like just pondering on the word, describe how it
Okay.
feels, and then maybe
Right,
the
right.
audience can come up
Right.
with a word for us.
like for instance, I feel like we can cut all this out. Like
Yeah.
for instance, like in the first act, we're jumping between all these characters, and sometimes it would, like, for example, it'll cut from like Odysseus, meeting his dog, meeting his puppy, and then like it'll just cut to like another character in another time, and it doesn't feel like there's like sometimes it doesn't feel like there's a super clear rhyme or reason to the editing, but that's what makes it feel distinct. That's what kind of makes it stand out to me, and I like that. I like that kind of, just kind of messy quality that his movies kind of have.
It's. Oh, sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
it's because I think it just kind of keeps it engaging, and it kind of gets to my main point, which is that, like with something like, especially the Odyssey, I feel like this movie, I think it kind of needs to be viewed more than once. I think just the way the story's structured and the revelations that you kind of hit at the kind of third act of the movie, I think it's basically I feel like the movie's telling the audience, watch this another time, like watch this again, because like by the end of the movie, you basically recontextualize everything that's come before it because of what you learn about Odysseus and how he feels about what happened in Troy. And when you have those revelations about him and Athena and stuff like that, you think about everything you've seen, and I feel like it feels like it's telling the audience, like, watch it again. This time pay attention to
Almost like a twist ending where it's like
kinda, yeah.
not
Well, kinda.
it's not a twist ending, but it's like a movie that has a twist ending
Yeah.
that it's like, oh, I want to watch it again and see what was hinting at this the entire
Exactly.
time.
And
This underlying guilt and shame he has for his actions is that sprinkled throughout the movie.
yeah.
I think I found the word.
What?
At least to me, I think I found the word to describe it.
What would be the word?
Asynchronous. And the specific definition, not as in asynchronous classes on Zoom, but but as in asynchronous means events or processes that do not happen at the same time, are not synchronized, or occur without waiting for a direct response. What I mean is
That's a good way to put it.
it's almost like it feels choppy because they're cutting not when you would expect it to. And so because it almost feels like there's a lack of rhythm or reason, it can feel engaging for the audience. Like, oh, it's cutting again. It's cutting here as well. And so it's forcing the audience to pay attention with its rapid cutting because you can't predict when it's going to cut. It just will.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean it's unrefined or choppy. It just means it's not following a traditional rhythm that I feel like
Yeah.
other filmmakers do.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. And I feel like some of that can be due to the film format of IMAX being
Mhm.
that they can only roll for what was it, like 3 minutes at a time. You can only have your runtime be so long before like the
Three
projectors.
hours, I
Yeah,
think,
like you can only have it be so long before the projectors like give up. So like
which is crazy.
so the movie inherently has to be set at a certain pace. It has to be edited to a certain time. And I think because of that, some scenes can feel kind of choppy. And, sometimes, that's the thing. Sometimes I really like the editing in this movie, but there are also a few moments where I can't think of any in particular, but sometimes I wish moments kind of linger just a little bit more. Moments that I wish kind of like slow down and
Breathe a
just,
little bit.
kind of breathe. Yeah. The movie's kind of go, 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 even when I feel like a not go go go, a slower moment would kind of benefit it. But while I feel like that's kind of in like due to IMAX, I feel like Christopher Nolan, his style, even before he really used IMAX like this, it was always kind of like that. So in a weird way, I feel like the IMAX film format being kind of limiting in a way, it complements the way he already makes movies. So it's like, would he really make it any differently if it wasn't on IMAX? If there wasn't a limitation, would the movie really have a different pace to it? It's interesting to think about.
That's an interesting question. One movie that immediately popped in my mind that has a mix of IMAX and standard format is Oppenheimer. And Oppenheimer is a longer movie, I believe, by like 30 minutes, something like that.
Isn't it still like sub 3 hours?
Oppenheimer movie length. It's 3 hours.
So yeah.
So one thing with Oppenheimer, like this isn't about the Odyssey, but I'm kind of bringing it up to bring up a point, is with Oppenheimer, my favorite scenes are when the movie slows down. And specifically when they're trying to figure out the target for the two atomic bombs. And the other scene, which I always the main scene I think of is figuring out the target, but the other scene I think of is meeting Truman. And it's not the longest scene ever, but it's just two characters and seeing how one of them is just a horrible person. And it lets that scene, I guess, breathe. Here, I feel like the most slowed down scene that I can think of, like, is Robert Pattinson and Anne Hathaway talking to each other behind I forgot the word for it, the thing she was weaving.
I don't know.
Oh, what was the word for it? I don't remember. But the movie doesn't slow down very often. Now, speaking of well, you kind of brought it up earlier. It's just there's a lot to talk about with this movie. Cut. There were certain things in the movie that I feel like could have been fleshed out if the movie was potentially a little bit longer. Now, I wouldn't call this a perfect movie, and that's not a bad thing, of course, because very rarely do I see anything that I would define as perfect. And even then, a movie that I do think is perfect wasn't even in my top 5 of most impactful movies. But there were certain parts of this movie that I felt like could have been fleshed out a little bit more, and there were also parts of this movie that I felt like didn't need to be said, that were almost explained so many times. One of the moments that immediately stood out to me as like, oh, like I don't know how I feel about this, was Penelope's rant of her position in Ithaca and how she sees it as, well, why does a seat need to be filled in the first place? I've been ruling for 20 years. And fair enough. That's a fair point, and it's a good question, and it's something that's literally never brought up when teaching the Odyssey, unless there's people, like teachers that I'm not aware of, that have brought that up. But it's an interesting question to be asked. I just think that if you're going to ask that question, really emphasize it. And dedicating 15 seconds to her bringing up this problem that's not explored for the rest of the movie, I thought was a missed opportunity. Like it's an interesting question, because one thing I was expecting with this movie was them adding specific details to a story that's fairly general. Like, of course, the epic poem is going into so many events, and it's such a long poem. I don't even teach the whole thing when I teach it every year because it would take the entire semester to teach it. I thought it was like, oh, here's details in his movie adaptation that maybe aren't in the poem. Instead, it does feel like they're being pretty loyal. They're being pretty loyal to it while cutting certain things out. And with Penelope's character, I was wondering, what are they going to do with her? I was specifically looking forward to Telemachus and Penelope, because when reading the story, it almost feels like Telemachus's journey is redundant. And with Penelope, I feel like I'm very scattered right now. But with Penelope, I wanted that problem to be emphasized. Why bring it up if it's not really a problem throughout the rest of the movie?
I think I don't mind it. I kind of like the moment, and I think the reason I liked it was because, you're watching Penelope kind of do her thing the whole movie. She's like, no, I refuse to marry, blah blah blah. Like she's very set in like her ways. She's giving this aura of like I don't want to say nonchalance, but she's acting steadfast in the face of how much she actually feels like depressed and everything. And in that scene with Tom Holland, that's when, because he's really like, isn't that when that scene is when he like basically tells her like, does he try to tell her to move on or like to marry someone?
It's because he had already spoken with Odysseus, and Odysseus told him to tell her that that she needs to remarry, because and then she said, I want to burn them all.
Yeah. So I think I like that scene. And when I heard her say that line of, I've been sitting on the throne, like, oh, fill the empty throne. I've been on the throne for 20 years. And for me, I feel like, that line doesn't come across as introducing a social issue to kind of have a broader discussion about. And it feels more like, you can, but to me, that line comes across more as just emphasizing kind of how tragic her situation is. And the line is about, like, the line demonstrates the
frustration.
How do I phrase it? The line demonstrates her hidden frustration. Or no. The line is in support of showcasing how much she's actually holding in and how much she's actually not letting out, and that's why she kind of explodes on her son there. And it just kind of adds a little flavor to her character that wasn't there before. I never thought of that idea. So yeah, for me, it just kind of I thought it just kind of added to it, and I liked it personally.
See, here it almost reminds me but I feel like something that added flavor to a character that goes unspoken, who doesn't really say anything in the original poem, was Helen's line, where Helen says to Telemachus, like, oh, please tell Penelope I'm sorry that all this happened because of me. That added flavor for her character for me, whereas this scene almost felt like, I don't know, like, it feels like that one line from Helen left a much bigger impact than Penelope saying, like, well, I've been on the throne for 20 years. Maybe it's just one is more subtle than the other.
I think it's because
one leaves you thinking more, and that felt more tragic to me from Helen than her expressing her frustration here.
I think it's because with Helen, it's like she hasn't really said anything.
Yeah.
She's basically just been she's just been sitting there the whole time. She said like one line or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of learn about this tragic story about her. So she's basically, her story is just steeped in tragedy from the get-go, and that's really all you have to like build off of it. So for her, one of her only lines to be an apology, it's pretty like, dang, like you get this little sense of who this person is based on the few lines she has.
She carries this weight.
Yeah,
this
versus Penelope, I think it's because that kind of social issue brought up it isn't a thing until that scene.
Yeah.
And it feels like, and it's because it never felt like that was her issue.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like something that was born out of what we've been seeing her character go through. So I get that. And that's why when I watched it at the first time, I was like, oh, this is unexpected. I was not expecting this to be a question. But I'm like I said, I'm okay with it because I think it adds that little bit more to her character. And I don't know. I think it was just a neat little question to throw at the audience, a neat little thing.
I think something they could have done to maybe just reinforce that theme, or because it is a relevant and important question. As someone who teaches this story, we look at it. You have to look at it in a couple of ways, not just in the form of how the Greeks would have heard that story, the ancient Greeks, and how they would have heard it, interpreted it, and what they value. We also have to look at it in modern eyes and evaluate in accordance to our standards, like how do we feel about these characters, about their choices, about their beliefs. And with Penelope, bringing up such a complex issue and leaving it, isolating it to that one moment, I was like, oh, I feel like almost a missed opportunity, where if you just had maybe one or two scenes that showed her having to make some decisions, like if things were coming to her and she had to decide and she had to make a choice, and maybe if people don't respect her choices because she's technically not the king of Ithaca, then it would have built up to that moment where her just outright saying like, no one respects me as leader of Ithaca just because I'm a woman. Mm-hmm. It would have been like, yeah, this was earned. So I guess just for me, the moment didn't feel the most earned. Regardless, I really liked Anne Hathaway's performance. My favorite, I feel like in everything I've seen Anne Hathaway in, like there's Princess Diaries, there's Princess Diaries, there's Devil Wears Prada, Interstellar, Dark Knight Rises, and then other things. In this one, I felt like I saw just the most attitude from her. Particularly, I only saw a few episodes of the show starring her and Jared Leto, so I can't really speak much on that, though I do know that she and like him are like scummy in that show or something. But here, my favorite scene is when Telemachus is like trying to assert himself as a man, and as the future king of Ithaca. And I think she like grabs the bow and she's like, string this, like string it, and she's just like calls him a boy. Something that I never got from reading parts of the poem was the relationship between Telemachus and Penelope beyond yearning for a father and a husband. But here it's like, no, there's tension between the two. Like they're getting frustrated with this situation. He wants to be king. He wants to find his father. She wants to wait for her husband. But she also, turns out, is upset that she's not getting the proper respect as a leader now. And it's just like coming out as like anger towards each other. I really liked that.
I liked it too. There's a few biting lines from her that are like, oh, you kind of like puts you in your place.
I need to see it again to remember the lines specifically.
It's she snaps at him a couple times. And it's really good.
Yeah. I want Odysseus.
I feel like we should talk about some of the performances.
Sure.
Matt Damon, like he's always great, and he's basically
Matt Damon.
He's basically perfect in this and everything he gives. I feel like there's two sides to his performance in this movie. Okay. There's the Odysseus, the leader, leading his men back home, and then there's basically the post-Calypso Odysseus, the old wise man, basically the old beggar. Like he's playing basically two different guys in this movie. Yeah. Because one, there's the younger Odysseus trying to get home, and he's kind of steadfast in his way. But he's also he's rejecting basically his true feelings, and that's kind of like he's fighting against the odds basically. And he really comes across as someone just trying to keep a level head, and it's good. He's really good at just playing that character. But for me, his performance gets really interesting, I think, post Calypso, when he's 7 years older. His voice is freaking gone, and his demeanor is just so different. He's always hunched over, and he's just so like, he just really like, I was wondering how are they going to adapt like the old beggar Odysseus in this? Are they going to do prosthetics, another actor? I don't know, because I thought they were going to do the thing where he looks like a different person and then he reveals himself to be him. But I was like, oh, it's just him, but old. Like, okay, I like this. He just looks so different now that no one's going to recognize him.
Just give him facial hair, basically.
Yes. But I really liked his seasoned performance. That's, I think, his best work in the movie. So he's really good. He's really good. He's really good.
I think they captured the they did what the poem does. Like they were able to capture the two sides of Odysseus specifically, because it is supposed to be pre-lesson, post-lesson. I feel like in a lot of stories, post-lesson is always reserved almost just like for the climax, and you only get like 20 minutes of a post-lesson character. But technically speaking, we have a decent amount of the post-lesson Odysseus in this. So you really get to just see him try to be smart and humble and faithful.
Yeah. And then Himesh Patel, haven't seen him in anything. He was like an unexpected, like, whoa, this guy is like legit. He's playing like Odysseus is like second in command, basically.
I believe his name is Eurylochus, something like that.
I don't know. He's really good in it. He's just like, he's playing that character really well. Like everything he said, every line, I was like, yeah, I buy it. You know, like I never had a second thought about the guy in this performance. Like he was doing his thing. Then Robert Pattinson, he's probably the best performance in the movie. He's so scummy. He's so
wait before you talk about Intinuous, Eurylochus, Himesh Patel. Something I have never seen him in anything either. Technically, the only thing I've seen him in is the trailer of that movie Yesterday, which he stars in. But outside of that, I didn't even know he was going to be in this movie. And so when he pops up, I was like, is this guy playing Eurylochus? Is that who he is? Because that's his friend in his like second shipmate, basically, second in command. He just felt like like a real guy in this situation, dealing with this stuff, trying to just survive. Yeah. Sometimes he questions Odysseus, but like you get this idea that he is his friend, he is loyal, and he's just doing his best to help get them home as well. I liked when there was some tension, a little bit of tension between the two, when it's like, is this a mutiny? It's like, I think they said it could be or something. Yeah. Like they're tired of his crap. Yeah. It's like we want to go home. Like you stay with the ship this time because we're not going to risk getting eaten by Cyclops or the Laestrygonians, the friggin' giants. So I tell him to stay with the ship. But one thing we talked about earlier was his voice, and I said that his voice is so like just not a standout thing that it sounds cool, that he just sounds like a normal person.
Yeah, he's everyone's speaking with just an American accent in this movie, and I don't care. No, that's not a problem. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah,
he just sounds like he's just some guy. And
we're
works.
Greeks.
Yeah, there's nothing imposing about him. But like, he just works as like the guy who works under Odysseus.
Now, Robert Pattinson's Intinuous.
Yeah.
Now,
he's so gross.
So when I read this story out loud, I would read Antinous' character. I always thought it was Antinous, not Intinuous.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Antinous Odyssey. I'm pretty sure, it's spelled Antinous. And so when they added an extra U in there, I was kind of surprised. Maybe it's just a translation thing. Ong versus Ang. But with Antinous in the movie, it's Intinuous, played by Robert Pattinson. The way I would describe him to my students is, so imagine just young, attractive Greek man who's kind of sleazy and leading all of these sleazy men who are trying to just get with another man's wife. So I told them, almost think of him as young Odysseus, because it's like by Odysseus killing him is like he's killing his past self and like he's showing change, almost like a foil to his present self, technically post-lesson self. But the way like I would read his character, I would read it with a borderline amount of sass. Like this guy's kind of a joke. And in the movie, they gave him that sass. Like I was surprised. I thought he was just gonna be like scummy. Because the way he talks in the trailer, I thought he was just some scummy, gross guy. But it's like No, this guy's like a slime ball.
Yeah.
When he's talking to Penelope, he's like, well, unless we have a child of our own.
Yeah.
And go ahead and say the line.
The beggars line.
Yeah, say it.
Somebody get these beggars out of here. Like it's so
he
good.
sounds so wimpy, but
Yeah.
it's so funny.
He's just a bully.
They
It's
captured
amazing.
exactly how I imagined it. Exactly.
Yeah. So Robert Pattinson is super good. I feel like he stole every scene he was in. Like if you're watching a scene with Robert Pattinson, he's the character that you're really paying attention to. Zendaya is Athena, and people are like, "Is Athena actually just a ghost? Is it actually just his conscience? Is it not
Stupid.
actually the god?" It is Athena. She is Athena,
Yeah.
taking the form of a dead girl to
Yeah.
basically haunt Odysseus. Like that's the
Yeah.
point. People.
It's literally being used to push him to change.
Exactly. It's a metaphor.
She's
people.
trying to push Odysseus to be a better
Right.
person, so she takes the form of
Right.
someone that he feels most guilty
Yeah.
toward. The
Athena-
personification of his
Athena
guilt.
taking the form of a ghost is a metaphor for his guilt and conscience.
Yeah.
Boom. That's all it is. Elliot Page, small role,
Yeah.
but legit stuff.
Yeah.
Legit stuff.
I was not
When-
expecting the death right in the beginning.
Yeah.
It really shocked me.
when they're in Hades and Sinon shows up and just gives like his whole spiel about what basically telling him about like he's basically pouring his heart out to
Yeah.
Odysseus, being like, why did you betray me? Why did you lie to me? And he's just like really like, dang, like this sucks. Like this is a really, really small role, but important for that role to be good.
What
like,
I
and
think-
played by a good actor.
Elliot Page was able to capture, because Elliot Page is about to be 40 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but because I was like, he's not young. Like I know he's not young, but they show Sinan's character as a little kid, and then they're gone for 10 years. They're gone for 10 years doing the war.
Yeah.
So in theory, if you look at the timeline, Sinan's supposed to potentially be like 20.
Sinon should not be 40 or
No.
pushing 40.
But just the way they directed him to run, captured like it looks almost like a kid.
Elliot Page
you know?
is so wimpy looking.
Yeah.
That, you buy like I did not think they're pushing 40 years old. But one actor that I wish I like Tom Holland's performance in this. I like that he's kind of like Sinon in that he's just kind of a wimp. Like he's getting pushed around the whole movie,
literally
and
thrown to the ground.
Yeah, and like that's
even by his mom.
yeah, like that's
You're just a boy.
that's Telemachus's role in the story.
Mhm.
He's the son who just wants a dad, and he gets pushed around. Like that's his role. He plays that role well.
Mm-hmm.
I think though I would have if Tom Holland was like, because he's like almost 30 now, right?
Yeah.
If Tom Holland was like early 20s, kind of like the character is,
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have maybe bought that a little bit more because I don't know. He's Tom Holland, like he's playing this kind of wimpy kind. He's not wimpy, but he's like he's kind of
He almost has like a child's hope.
yeah. He's not super sure.
Naive.
He's not super sure of himself,
Yeah.
and I think Tom Holland, like his early 20s, could really do that.
I
But-
saw I didn't read the article, but I saw a thing where he said like he thinks this is his last time that he'll play someone like who's supposed to be like young
Yeah,
because
that makes
he's
sense.
30.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a little kid anymore.
No.
like a young adult.
I mean, he certainly looks younger than Odysseus
Yeah.
and Penelope and them, but I don't know how old Robert Pattinson is.
He's like in his 30s.
Yeah, but I mean, he looked younger. He's literally shorter than everyone else
Yeah.
too, so that helped a little bit.
Yeah,
And
But
he
I-
still kind of has that higher voice.
yeah.
But yeah, when I think of Telemachus, I think of him as younger, like literally early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's it.
he did his role.
Yeah.
I want to talk about John Leguizamo.
Oh yeah.
I am a fan of John Leguizamo, even though I've only seen him in a few things. That being Ice Age, John Wick, and his stand-up comedy history lesson thing on Netflix. I'll put the title on screen. I don't remember what it's called. I had watched that in 2018, 2019, and I loved it. I was like, wow, this guy's a performer. I've seen him a little bit in the Romeo and Juliet adaptation by Baz Luhrmann. And I was like, not only is he like funny, he's also a good dramatic storyteller. The way that he was able to get me to care about history.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, John Leguizamo.
Happy birthday, John Leguizamo
Yeah.
and Willem Dafoe and
Yeah.
Danny here.
Oh, yeah, I share my birthday with John Leguizamo. It's whatever.
It's
no big
Danny's
deal.
birthday today.
It's
How
no
old are
big
you?
deal. I'm 20.
No,
Yeah.
you're disgusting.
20 years old.
Nope, he's 24 years
Yeah, I'm
old.
24.
Born in 2002,
Yeah.
which is the same year as
Willem Dafoe.
what movie?
2002.
2002.
What, Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So John Leguizamo, I'm a fan of his, even though I've only seen him in a few roles, and he was my standout actor here. Every single scene that he was in, I wanted more of him. I always mixed up his name because I thought his name was Menelaus, but that's John Bernthal's character. I think his name is Eumaeus, something like that.
I just know him as Old Man.
John Leguizamo, a blind old man. John Leguizamo, I'm just going to look it up. The Odyssey character.
Oh, Dad's here.
Dad's here? No.
His name?
Yes, Eumaeus.
Eumaeus.
So his character, Eumaeus, he's borderline a mentor, but not really because there's literally a character named Mentor. But
Right.
but John Leguizamo's character, he's a guy that almost represents the idealized past. He's literally losing his sight. He's aging. He's also mirrored with this dog. And just like this dog, he's waiting for this person to come home. He's hoping for this person to come back to bring vengeance and to restore Ithaca to its former glory. And I just liked how subdued he was.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when I think of John Leguizamo, I think of the first images that pops into my head is him in the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet, where it's so animated. And I think of Sid the Sloth. But here it's just he's
very reserved in it. in the
very
role. Yeah.
reserved. And I was like, this guy's an actor.
But you can tell he's so reserved, but you can tell that he really believes in his cause. Like,
Yeah.
This man is dedicated to what he believes in. So really good performance. Yeah.
Like when he got injured and Odysseus returns and he's just like, oh, would you care for a fresh meal, stranger? Something
Yeah.
like that. I was like, oh, I feel
Yeah.
so sorry for
He
you.
killed a puppy.
When
but,
Sinkin'
you know.
the dog was being kicked and he's like running over to try to find the dog, I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh my gosh.
Yeah. He killed a puppy though.
Yeah.
That's kind of irredeemable, but whatever.
Is it? That's what
Whatever.
farmers did.
Yeah.
Now, John Bernthal was playing John Bernthal. I think they casted him because he just does that. That's
Yeah.
his thing.
Exactly.
Literally. I can't even recreate. He literally is the exact same. Now, some people like that. And
Yeah.
it's like, you know what? Like, it's what he was hired to do, so he's doing it. But I would like to see him show a little bit more range beyond. I think he shows a little bit more range in like his Punisher show,
Yeah,
like the
maybe.
first season. But like outside of that, he's
If he just talked like how John Bernthal actually talks, because he doesn't sound like that in real life.
no.
If he just talked like that, maybe I'd be like, good performance. But, that's his thing. It's whatever.
I mean, the way he acts in the movie, I bought him as like, yeah, you look like you would torture your wife so that she wouldn't be beautiful anymore.
Yeah, pretty
which,
jacked up.
Yeah, stinging disgusting. I don't remember if that was an actual. I don't think that's a detail in the original. Like they chose to make it like this guy hurt her so that people wouldn't want to kidnap her anymore. And no wonder she looked so disdainful towards him the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize those scars were from him until after. I thought like, oh, it happened in the capturing process and the all that. Like no, like he did that. It's
Yeah.
like gross.
Pretty jacked.
Let's see. What's his name? Is it Benny Safdie? Was it him that was in the
Yeah.
movie? So Benny Safdie, he's in the movie for he's not in it that much. Most of it technically is him just walking and shots of his back. Do you ever see just a clear shot of his face? Yeah,
No.
you don't. We do have dialogue from him in the Hades scene. I like that his voice is not imposing and booming. He doesn't sound like Bane in Dark Knight Rises, like which, looking at his armor, you would assume he sounds like
Yeah.
almost inhuman. But it's just like he sounds just like a guy.
Yeah. I like that. I like his performance. He just really gets that one scene to shine, and I think he plays it well. It's
Yeah.
just like he's just a guy, and like because the performance is is just the aura farming
Yeah.
and all of that. Like that is the point of Agamemnon as a character in this story. So like that's the point of Agamemnon in the story. So when you actually do hear him talking, he's just a regular person.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it takes you out for a bit, and I like that. Yeah. So overall, I think everyone from an acting perspective, as far as I can tell, everyone was basically just doing what they do.
Yeah.
And everyone does it well. So
Like there's
good.
nothing I think to really criticize about their performances, because like sure you can bring up John Bernthal's performance, but it's like really like, is it something to actually criticize, or is it just something to notice?
You know, I
Yeah.
wouldn't call it bad. It's just
No.
you know, it's not. It's whatever.
He did what he did.
Now, if I were to get to some of the things that I kind of do see as flaws in the movie, well, I guess it would be specifically how the film handles violence, and we kind of talked about this, but it's rated R, but I don't think the movie. I think the movie does not go hard enough
Mhm.
in its rated R. I don't think it drops the hard R hard enough.
Wow. Wow.
And I don't think it.
That was disgusting.
Like I have no problem with the grounded approach. I like
Mhm.
that the movie is very grounded. Again, that's the style. I like that style, and I like how Christopher Nolan does it. So
Mhm.
I like that. But I think the film feels oddly tame for a story about violence and what is essentially the start of humanity's downfall. Like this is the what's the word for starting point? The cornerstone. This is the not cornerstone.
Rosebud culmination,
like the start
inciting
point.
incident.
Like this is the root of
Mhm.
basically every horrible thing humanity is responsible for,
Yeah.
essentially. But I don't feel like the movie, like it could have risked being gratuitous and like been like a turnoff, but I don't think that the movie goes far enough to even have that potentially even be a conversation to be had. It's
Something I want to say on that. I think it very much ties in towards my main criticism of the movie, and this is an adaptation of the Odyssey. Is I think the subdued violence is a result of subduing the characters and their awfulness.
yeah. I kind of wrote into that, and I kind of said how it makes the movie feel emotionally inconsistent because of the lack of violence. Odysseus's crew, they're in the movie they're framed as sympathetic and kind of tragic.
Mhm.
It's a tragedy when they die. That's how the movie frames it.
Yeah.
But by the end of the movie, they're supposed to be kind of seen as morally gray and questionable. You're not supposed to view them as just tragic heroes, basically, just wanting to go home. But not actually seeing that, because you're supposed to see them as kind of, your eyes are just kind of supposed to be open by the end and think,
Yeah.
dang, you have to reflect on everything you watched. But we don't actually see any of his specific crew do anything.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we had some discussions about it last night, and I think saying it last night is gonna allow me to just like get to the point. One thing I was struggling with this movie was the fact that his men aren't horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in accordance to Greek culture, ancient Greek culture and standards, maybe readers of the past would, or listeners of the past wouldn't hear of Odysseus's travels post the Trojan War and think, oh, that's actually horrible. But the movie and the original poem emphasize Xenia, aka Zeus's law on how you treat guests as a host, how you should be as a guest and how you should be as a host. There was cultural standards and rules, and Odysseus breaks Xenia throughout. And the movie emphasizes the Xenia, but they don't use the word Xenia.
Because we're dumb Americans.
Yes, we're dumb Americans, so you have to tell us again and again and again.
So you have to say it in terms that
They said
an
it
American would
so
understand.
much, and that was another complaint I had, but I'm gonna stick to what I'm saying. Odysseus and his men are supposed to be horrible. And one of the first things they do post Trojan War is go to a village, raid it, enslave women and children, And then when a bunch of their men get killed by the inland army approaching, a bunch of their men get killed, and it's just like Odysseus and his men are sobbing at the losses of their men. They count the amount of men that are gone. I forgot the exact number, but it's a lot. And I'm like, am I supposed to feel bad for you as I'm reading the story? Am I supposed to feel bad that you lost your men? Like, okay, you value their lives, but you don't value the lives of other people. Clearly, you just enslaved a bunch of women and children.
And that's like the point.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Yeah.
here, his men, we don't actually see them do anything horrible. And I thought we were gonna get that when they approach Circe, and then Eurylochus is like, "We're Greeks. We're not gonna hurt you." And it's like, okay, so they're not going to do anything exploitive or questionable here.
Yeah.
They're victims. In pretty much every situation, his men are not posed as active characters that are making choices based on their own pleasure and desires, which is a big part of the poem. They're victims of Odysseus's leadership and him choosing to take them to places. But really, every place they go, they just need food and water. And then they happen to be victims of other people's choices.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a movie to be so much about like having faith and letting go of yourself and letting yourself relinquish control,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't feel like those characters were even in control in the first place. And I think the lack of violence in the movie, or lack of gore and overt violence, is a consequence of just not making them be as horrible as they potentially should be. The one part where I felt disturbed from the violence, I said this to you last night, was when the Laestrygonians trapped a few of them in the little makeshift wooden tree branch cage and just were stabbing them through the gaps. I was like,
Brutal.
that's disgusting. Like, this is really uncomfortable.
Yeah. I
It's
think
torture, basically.
So yeah, I think that's the thing. I think that's part of the kind of artistic liberties Christopher Nolan took, in that the men are not horrible. I think the movie is very explicitly framing them as not horrible people.
Yeah.
So when they do die, I think it's because them being seen as kind of tragic and them all dying as a result of Odysseus's choices, I think all of that is basically just in service of showcasing that it's all in service of Odysseus's main flaw, which is his unwillingness to kind of recognize his faults as a human and what he's responsible for, and him basically trying to amend his mistakes. It's only making it worse because he's not actually addressing the issue at hand until the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so they're tragic in service of Odysseus' story, and they die a tragic death. But yeah, they are supposed to be it's supposed to be they die because they're basically being punished in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's interesting because it's them dying, but it's to punish Odysseus. And yeah, so the men, they do kind of lose some of that agency in the story. And
it is technically also to punish themselves, because the thing is, you said it earlier, is we're supposed to start to question them in the climax of the movie when we see the fall of Troy and they're just killing civilians. But none of his men that we've seen their faces, because there's three that stood out. There was Himesh Patel, there was that bald white guy who I've seen in a couple things before, and the black guy. I don't remember any of the other faces. There was like one Hispanic looking guy that I got confused with another actor. But those three guys and the rest of his crew, we don't see them do anything horrible in Troy. We just see faceless, their likeness is not shown, faceless Greeks committing these actions, killing civilians. So if his men were a part of this, it would have made me question them. But never did I question them. The only questionable thing they did from memory is them eating the cattle after being told not to. But even then, can you blame them?
Yeah. It's interesting because I think, they're ultimately sympathetic. But yeah, the movie very much downplays any morally kind of gray. Like the movie doesn't really I don't think the movie really wants you to see them as anything but sympathetic characters, which is, it feels kind of strange because of the themes of the movie.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's that detrimental to my entertainment of the movie, or really, because it all is in service of building up Odysseus, and it's all about like everything about Troy and his men. It's all about how it relates to Odysseus. And so in that sense, I'm kind of fine with it, even though it's the one thing where I'm like, how am I supposed to feel about this? I get that it's supposed to be, it's all about how it affects Odysseus at the end of the day.
See,
And
sorry.
No, it's fine. And I don't know.
See, Tiresias, the blind prophet in Hades, says they're all going to die. Doesn't Circe say it as well? I forgot how many people say it.
I don't know.
But I think it was more than just Tiresias. I just don't remember who. But Tiresias for sure says it in Hades. He's the blind prophet who like looks like he doesn't have legs. But he says all of your men are going to die. And when reading the story, it's like these men are horrible and they're never going to change. That's the point. Odysseus is the one who changes. He's the one who can be redeemed.
Mm-hmm.
But by them saying your men are going to die, for me, it just made me think that it didn't make me think like they deserve it in any way. It's just like, oh, well, that just sucks. So they're just going to die and I just feel bad for them. There wasn't any like, oh yeah, these guys actually kind of deserve it. And to be honest, for me, and this is a thought that I'm just having right now, but I'm trying to quantify it, to explain it. Them dying for me didn't feel like a consequence of Odysseus's actions, because he abuses Xenia with a Cyclops, and then he shoots it in the eye with an arrow, which I did like. I liked that addition. And he's like very boastful towards he shoots. He doesn't talk to the Cyclops like he does in the poem, but he shoots it just to get that one last hit in because of his attitude. But outside of that, it didn't for me. I think the movie is trying to do it, but it just didn't work for me. This feeling like, yeah, these guys are going to die and it's your fault. Because outside of the Cyclops, what did he really do that's like, now all of these men deserve to die and it's your fault?
Well, it was Troy. I think that's...
But then we don't see them. Yeah, we don't see them
that's
do
the
that.
Because it's... The movie, it's kind of reframing it to where it's all on Odysseus. And the men are basically a side character to that.
But then we don't see Odysseus come up with the horse plan. We don't see him command anyone.
Yeah, we do.
Do we see him come up with the horse plan?
I'm pretty sure, because they show them like build the horse and stuff, and he's like, and they show him like tell.
Do they? I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they show like that whole process of like taking all the pieces. And
are you sure?
They show them build the horse, and they show them like it's Odysseus like telling them what to do.
Oh yeah, I guess I forgot the movie. It's because it's not shown in the beginning. It's the structure of the movie. Some details just get lost afterwards, but I think something that would have helped was seeing Odysseus potentially be more active in the post-opening of the gate in Troy. Like, once Odysseus opens that gate, he doesn't really do that much. He kills a couple of Trojans who come after him. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was one of his men that saves him when he's like about to be killed. Like he lost his sword or something, and one of his men comes to save him. But we don't actually, from my memory, we don't see Odysseus participate in the raiding portion, and we don't see his men participate in the raiding portion. And I think if we showed one or the other, if we showed Odysseus doing that or commanding people to do this or encouraging it in any way, then for me it would have felt like yeah, you did this. This is your fault. The men killing these innocent women is your fault, and now your men will pay the price. Mm-hmm. But they don't show him doing anything, and they don't show his men doing anything.
I'm fine with them not showing Odysseus do anything, but I think if we saw him see his people, like the people that we know, like committing horrible acts, not just against soldiers, but just innocent you know, civilians, than it would have, I think.
So his men being killed didn't feel like a punishment for Odysseus for me. As in, it didn't seem like this is the natural consequence of his actions because we don't see his men do anything besides really be victims of his, of the Cyclops. And that was it.
All right. I think it works more than it doesn't. I think the only kind of issue that I had is that I just kind of wish the violence was in certain scenes. I kind of wish it was more pronounced, just because I think it would have made it hit just a little harder.
I think the main example of the violence not hitting hard enough for me was the taking back Ithaca, because the way I described it to you was the way they film Odysseus fighting the men. It felt like I was mostly seeing him in the center of the frame, swinging at people off screen. And I was like, this is not interesting to watch in this way. Filming it in this way to me is not the most interesting because I'm not actually seeing the threat. In the same way, it's like watching John Wick and he's walking towards the camera and shooting people that are technically behind camera. It's like we're not actually seeing you go against anyone in these moments, so this isn't very engaging. Mm-hmm. Him standing in the middle, swinging to people off screen isn't the most interesting way. But if they made it to where it's like he's getting injured, he's getting covered in their blood and his own blood, and seeing him get hurt, I think that would have added to it.
Yeah, I think that was because in that scene, I love that scene because I like what it represents.
I like the scene. I didn't like how it was filmed.
I'm more or less okay with how it was filmed. I just wish it got bloodier. Like by the end of the scene, when he rises off the floor, he should be drenched in blood.
Especially because he's supposed to be potentially mortally wounded.
Yeah,
but we don't see anything.
I didn't feel the weight of it as hard as I think I could have if he was. Because I like him swinging around axes and I like him shooting arrows into people's faces. But yeah, I just wish he was. The movie basically got everything about that scene right, except for the carnage on display. I think that's where it just kind of felt too tame for me. I wanted some more blood and guts.
What I liked, okay, I have mixed feelings about it. They chose to make it to where they bring up the irony of Odysseus coming home and slaughtering the suitors. They bring up the irony of like, wouldn't that make him banished for abusing Xenia as a host because he's killing people in his home? It makes sense to bring that up because why would he be rewarded for breaking Xenia again? Because technically that's what he does in the original. But
Odysseus?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like in the original, he's not punished. He gets to be with his wife again, and that's it. Happily ever after. And then technically you have the spin-off Ulysses story. But here they brought up the irony of him going home and slaughtering all the men is kind of that's wrong in accordance to their standards, and he pays the price for it. But it's happy because he's going to be with his wife, and Telemachus is going to have his time now as king.
Yeah.
But Telemachus is not involved in what does Telemachus do in the climax of this movie?
He tries to help the guy stop. He tries to help by preventing the weapons from dropping.
But I wish the one of the things I brought up earlier was I was looking forward to what they were going to do with Telemachus, because reading the story, I remember thinking to myself, his story kind of feels redundant because what does he do besides try to find his dad? His dad finds him. And in this, they technically pretty much did the same thing. He wants to find his dad, goes out, finds out his past, and I think he's just used there as like a plot device to introduce the Trojan War and like what happened by him talking to Menelaus. But once again, he just goes to a temple of some sorts where the secret Greek assassin is, and then Odysseus finds him there. What did that change? What did that add by doing that? Besides potential, just extra threat of like, oh, there's people after Telemachus. And at the end, they cut off his participation in taking back his home. The movie is he's constantly saying I could be king. I can do this. I can take it back. And then to pretty much remove all of his main participation, I probably just blocked your shot. To remove his participation in fighting the suitors, I was like, I don't know. It felt like they kind of took away his agency there. I wanted to see what was going to happen with him, and it was basically the same as the poem in a way that made me still not as interested in his character. I wasn't interested in his character in the poem, and unfortunately, not much happens post him leaving Ithaca. He finds Menelaus, hears the story, and almost gets assassinated, but then his dad finds him and saves him.
I was fine with it. I liked it. I liked that he, because it serves the point of it serves a purpose.
It serves a purpose.
He wants, like, Odysseus wants to keep his son pure at heart and whatever, so that he can be a rightful ruler for Ithaca.
You brought up that he kills someone, though.
I know. I don't know what that is. I don't know.
He slices a guy's throat.
I think he slices the guy's throat. I could be wrong. I think he kills a guy. I don't know. But
the movie doesn't show blood. Like,
in the context of the movie, he is still pure.
He killed him,
and I'm fine with it. I like that character arc, so I don't really have anything against it. I thought it was good,
but it feels like that arc is minimized because he has, that's the word, ambition. He has the ambition to want to take over, to try to rule, and to find his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's something flew in my eye. Now, he has the ambition, but what does that ambition culminate in? Even in the original story, he's the one that hides the weapons away. He's the one that he's acting out Odysseus's schemes, his assessments, which I like that they use the word assess. It just sounds cool. But in this, Menelaus, John Leguizamo's character, he's the one that has the servants hide away the weapons. What does Telemachus do beyond, one of them gets access to the weapons? I don't know. I feel like they could have done something more interesting or creative with this character, but somehow they found a way to reduce it even more than what was in the poem. I think they could have made it more active to where it's like, yeah, this guy is the next king. If you're gonna make it to where he's the next king, I wish they did something to make me feel like, yeah, you are king now and you deserve it. You've earned it. But he didn't even find Odysseus. He doesn't even really participate in taking back his home. He's just trying to stop the guy at giving the weapons to the people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Yeah. I'm fine with it, though. Like
and then he kills someone, which is contradictory.
He might or might not have killed
but
somebody.
He did. I remember him like, he beat him because he sliced his throat.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it's literally contradictory.
Maybe there's some reason why
the guy's alive.
Yeah,
he
or
survived.
Maybe he killed him under just circumstances. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But
maybe because it's self-defense.
Maybe.
And versus Odysseus technically is the one to shoot first.
Yeah,
he shoots.
Odysseus starts the fight, so I felt like everything worked. Everything fell into its place, and I was emotionally satisfied by it. I think if Tom Holland was younger, I would probably buy it a little more. If he was like 22 years old.
I wish they didn't strip his. He already doesn't do technically that much in the poem, but they made him do, I feel like, even less. And I think they try to compensate for that by having the first 20, 30 minutes be... Was it the first 20? Following him and like, it's like, I'm going to go find my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that. I was like, okay, we're following Telemachus. Like, this is cool. And then he's used to express the Trojan War story.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't do much after that. And I was like, missed opportunity. I wish. But also you have the limitation of the 3 hours. So you can only do so much.
Yeah.
The stinking dog, Argus.
Oh, yeah.
They include of course, the trailer showed Argus, If the trailer didn't show Argus, I didn't think they were gonna actually include the dog bit, because I was like, I don't know if they were gonna cut things. I figured that would just be something they cut, but they don't. Do you want to talk about it for a second?
What, the dog?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's sad. I think anyone who's seen it knows exactly what we're talking about. It was tragic. It's a little sad moment, but it's also happy sad.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a bittersweet.
It's not just depressing. Oh, the dog dies. It's the dog sees its owner one last. He's not saying it, but we lost our dog last year. Our childhood dog. She was a half corgi, half chihuahua. Unconfirmed, but basically confirmed.
Yeah, for dog owners, I think any dog owner would relate to this.
Yeah, we were both crying in our seats.
Yeah, it was
thinking about our dog. Her name was Mocha.
Completely took us off guard.
Yeah.
So it was a great moment. Great moment. Great emotional manipulation. Yeah, and then I like that the movie. See, I like that. I mean, I don't know. I haven't read the Odyssey really. So like, is the original story about like about mankind's like hubris and about like living with the guilt of your actions and crap like that? Is the story about that really?
Pretty much. One of the main ways to analyze that story is this is a person who has committed horrible actions and has hubris. The main reason why everything goes wrong for him isn't the sacking of Troy, though. The reason things go wrong for him is because of the Cyclops. But it's strange because Odysseus does horrible things and abuses Xenia prior to the Cyclops in the story, but it's because the Cyclops happens to be the son of Poseidon that is like, oh, now there's consequences. And some people can read that and say like, oh yeah, so therefore there's only consequences if you're a person of importance, and you can interpret it that way. Or it's simply he was doing bad things and now here's the consequences for it. And so now I wouldn't say it's used to bring up the end of an era, like how this movie literally says the Bronze Age and stuff like that. But it is used to teach the lesson of It's basically reinforcing the culture and rules that the ancient Greeks had to treat people with hospitality, almost like the golden rule: treat people how you wish to be treated.
They literally say that is the rule.
Yeah.
So
don't they use the phrase golden rule?
They don't say golden rule. I think they call it Zeus's law. I think
Zeus's law.
I think that is Zeus's law, is the treat others how you'd be treated.
Yeah.
According to the movie, anyway. Yeah, I like that the movie, it gave me Oppenheimer vibes. You know, it's very similar in that it feels like a spiritual prequel. You know, both explore, you know, mankind's hubris and basically how destructive that can be. But I like that this movie is a little more hopeful in comparison, but it doesn't feel like it's contradicting Oppenheimer. It's I think I said this phrase when we got out. It's yes-anding Oppenheimer.
Adds more complexity to it.
Yeah, it's saying, yes, that is true. We are capable of destroying ourselves, but as long as we learn from the mistakes and try not to repeat them, you know, like tomorrow will come and things can get better.
Instead of yes and, I think it's more yes but.
Sure.
Like, yes, this may be true, but this can also be true.
Right.
It's the same effect as Whiplash La La Land, where Whiplash is like consequences of trying to achieve your dreams and over dedicating yourself and obsessing over this thing, versus La La Land, these characters achieve their dreams, but they can be happy. Mm-hmm. They can be content with their lives.
Yeah.
Great sacrifice, but still content.
Yeah, so just solid movie.
Though go ahead.
I was saying it's not a perfect movie. I feel like on a rewatch, things that I maybe felt a little iffy about will probably be more clear to me. But yeah, I feel like with Nolan, you know, sometimes if you get into the nitty gritty of his stuff, sometimes you're like, you see things that are like, this isn't that good, this isn't that great. But he excels at I think emotional spectacle, and I think
the vibe,
like, because of how rugged his style is, I think you kind of just get so immersed in the story, and even if it's not great or perfect, I think you walk out of a Christopher Nolan movie feeling like no one else is making a movie like this. And I think that is praised in its own
It's
right.
almost just the culmination of, like, the individual ingredients might not be perfect,
Right.
but the culmination of these things creates something that's
it's bigger than the sum of its parts.
Yeah,
Right. And
that's,
I think
that's a good phrase.
I think that is why I really appeal to like kind of this movie is when I look at the big picture and just the feelings it gave. Like I liked it. It was really good.
Like the feelings it gave, it felt epic.
Yeah.
The one they made the I didn't know how much they were going to show the Trojan War, but they made that feel like a spectacle. And they made one guy going into his home to kill some people feel like a spectacle. Another specific detail I was looking forward to was him plucking the bow. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they made that a thing that he does throughout, I was like, that's cool. Just to reinforce why he does it at the end. He plucks the bow, and then Zeus strikes lightning overhead. That's what happens in the poem. And I was like, are they going to do it? Please do it. And they did it. And then they made the arrow hitting the wood louder than everything else. It's because Penelope's already borderline like given up walking away.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, right when it just like, she like turns around, I was like, oh my gosh, it made it feel so important and so good. Like, I'm not criticizing the movie for the feeling it gave me. I'm criticizing it potentially as an adaptation, and unfortunately criticizing it for just the other characters outside of Odysseus. Odysseus gets his arc, he gets everything, but the other characters, I felt like I was looking forward to more complexity being added to them. Mm-hmm. And with some of them, Penelope got complexity. I really liked her additions here, but the others, I felt like they actually took away some things that would have made them more interesting to watch. But also, you have to work within a certain time limitation to the point to where you cannot tell this whole story in one movie. They had to cut stuff, so it makes sense. Mm-hmm. So, as an adaptation, it's not perfect. As a movie, it's not perfect, but it's a vibe. they got the feeling. Yeah. One other criticism, I think criticism is too harsh of a word, but one thing that just did not stand out for me at all for us was the music.
Yeah, I mean, coming off of Oppenheimer, I was like, oh, what are they cooking up this time?
Yeah.
But yeah, I can remember like maybe a couple tracks, namely just one actually, and it's kind of like the main flute theme or whatever it is. But
isn't it just called Odysseus?
I don't know. Music, it just felt like it was in service of what you're watching on screen instead of feeling like it's transcending that and it becomes its own thing.
Almost like playing Breath of the Wild, where the music kind of just like fits the environment. It doesn't actually stand out.
Like it's music to match the emotion you're supposed to feel. It's not music that I feel like evokes emotion in itself.
Yeah.
Does that sound full of itself?
No, I think it makes sense. The sound I mostly remember is just lightning striking, like thunder. I remember that more than the music.
Yeah, the sound effects. I think the sound design is what you're really listening to, and that's what you really makes you feel stuff in this movie, not the music. Well, but if there's gonna be a movie for the sound design to excel, it's gonna be something like this.
Yeah.
So,
hey, they made the shipwreck feel so. They did that so well. I feel like I haven't seen many things that, because I've seen like plane wrecks in movies. I'm thinking Castaway. That's pretty crazy. I don't know if you've seen it in a long time, but when their plane is crashing, it's like, oh my gosh. But the shipwreck, it felt like they were on, maybe it's just the sound and how loud the speakers were and the booming thunder and the visuals being such on a huge screen, but it felt like, oh dang, they're gonna die. Yeah. Like it felt so real. And seeing Eurylocus, Himesh Patel's character, like as they're splitting apart, like he gets like hit in the head or something, and it's just like knowing like, oh, they're dead. Like that's it. It felt like a real boat crash. I really liked that.
I felt like I was in a crash.
Yeah.
I felt like I was gonna have a seizure though, because the flashing lights was crazy.
And they did thunder correctly. One of the few movies to get thunder right.
It was really neat. So definitely watch the movie.
I'm not one for ratings because they're so arbitrary. And so
maybe you're antiquated.
Maybe I'll freaking choke you out. I'm not one for ratings because I think they're so subjective to the point to where hearing a person's rating, unless you understand their brain to their fullest, which is impossible, their rating doesn't really matter. But I think the movie, at the end of the day, if I were to phrase, I think it was good as an adaptation. I think I think as an adaptation, I think it's okay. As a movie on its own, I definitely see things that I wish they had more time to flesh out and some things to emphasize. But if you look at it as the big picture, I think you'll come away satisfied. But if you look at the individual parts and like thinking about the individual parts, there's nothing wrong with pointing out the individual elements and being like, what could they have done?
And like it's not to say turn your brain off and just enjoy and just have fun, because there are movies that you can pick apart, and when you pick them apart, they only get better and better.
Yeah.
When you really think about the details, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but you know that you can do that.
Little Women.
Okay. But
that
with
movie's
this one,
perfect.
I think some of Christopher Nolan's other movies, sometimes you pick them apart and then you kind of see like, I don't know, but yeah, I think he has the big picture in mind, and you know, as an artist, you can do what you want. You can have whatever intent you want in mind with your art. And you know, sometimes I feel like as a consumer of art, I think sometimes you just kind of got to meet them at their level, you know, surrender to the art instead of trying to let it conform to what you want. But then sometimes things just aren't, when looked at in other ways, don't hold up to certain scrutiny.
To use Christopher Nolan's metaphor in his Oscar-winning speech, it's like a painting. And if you pay attention to individual brushstrokes and maybe individual details, you might notice some flaws or things that are like, oh, that could use some more detail. This could use a different amount of shading or whatever. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the bigger picture, you can see something beautiful. Mm. And with this movie, with Oppenheimer, you can look at individual things and question it, scrutinize it, and think about techniques and what is the emotion they're trying to convey. But you can look at the bigger picture as well and just see an epic movie. And I think this movie succeeds in being epic. Mm. With that, I think that's our final thoughts.
I think so.
This was our review of the Odyssey.
I give it an 8.725 out of 10.
I'd probably give it like closer to an 8. Something like that. 8 out of 10. Thank you. We're not going to have a video next week, unfortunately. If you want to see a video, though, starring one of us, I'll be going to Seattle next week, and I'll be recording it. But thank you very much. Happy birthday, Danny. And I hope our viewers have a wonderful day. Thank you.